Hello, so today I thought I would show off my vinyl wall. I've had this up for about 6, 7 months, since much earlier in the year. These brackets came off of Amazon. They were 30 quid for a pack of six, and I got my father to put them up because I pretty much would just make them really wonky and it'd look awful. So yeah, I think I will talk a little bit about what I've currently got up. I'm really specific about what albums I display at one time. They've all got to kind of match and look nice next to each other. And there's also the fact of like some records are slightly taller than others, and it really irritates me when one is like a little bit taller than the other. So yeah, I'll start on the end. So this is Sufjan Stevens, Carrie and Lowell. This is a really great album, one of my favorites of the 2010s. Uh, I think that this is a like slight reissue. There's this whole thing with like Asthmatic Kitty Records, which is his record label, which is like co-owned with this guy, and like there's this whole thing online that their records are kind of awful sounding. I haven't really had too many problems. I've got about six Sufjan Stevens records, and they all sound pretty good to me. I think I looked up the codes for this, and it's like a reissue from like I don't know a couple of years after the album came out, and it sounds pretty good. So I think the first batch of these were really bad, but the reissue is actually pretty good sounding. And yeah, the album's amazing. It's He talks a lot about like the death of his mother and that kind of thing, and he uses a lot of metaphors with the lyrics, and it's just very stripped back compared to most of his albums. It's just him with like a ukulele, or not even a ukulele, like a just an acoustic guitar or I think it's a mandolin, just singing these really personal songs, and it's kind of about the lyrics as much as it's about the music, really. But yeah, amazing album. So next up, I've got Prince, Purple Rain. This is like a brand new reissue from like 2020 or 2021. I just got it on eBay for like £20, and I didn't really know what exact like repressing of this album it was. But it's this really cool like shiny one that I was actually after, but I didn't actually expect this to be that. But yeah, the reviews of this are kind of generally pretty positive. I think it's like a digital remaster of the album. I'm gradually trying to collect like all of the classic Prince albums, or at least all the ones that I really want. So far, I've just got this and Dirty Mind, but yeah, I just really love the kind of reflective, sort of glossy style of this. I haven't thrown it on the turntable yet, so I can't really say how it sounds, but the presentation is amazing, and it actually comes with a poster which is just like sticking out a little bit there. But yeah, it'd be great to get like Sign of the Times and 1999 and a bunch of his earlier albums as well. As if this album cover didn't look 80s enough, I think this like reflective kind of silver thing like makes it look even more 80s. Okay, next up we've got My Bloody Valentine's Loveless. Uh, this is a brand new reissue from Domino. I haven't listened to this one yet, but the reviews on Discogs were saying that it's really great. It was just like £17. But I really like the kind of glossy outer sleeve, and also it's got a really nice inner sleeve, which is kind of the same design but in a different color. Yeah, I'm pretty fascinated with this record at the moment, to be honest. It's not like an all-time favorite or anything like that, but I thought it was kind of an essential album to have, and I'm really kind of interested in it and the kind of process making it. And one of my favorite songs from it is Something or Sometimes, I think it's called. Yeah, it's quite a bizarre record, really. And my main complaint about most vinyl, new or old, is that they always come in like a paper inner sleeve, which is really bad for the record. And when you're taking them in and out, you can like hear like so much crap and dust like scratching against the record and destroying it. But this one's got like a really nice inner sleeve, which has some kind of artwork very similar to the album cover, but it's got like a lined plastic inner sleeve, which I'm a big fan of. Okay, on the end here we have Bjork's Homogenic. I got this as a Christmas present last year, and it was kind of just an essential album, one of my favourite albums of the 90s that I didn't own yet. It's probably my favorite Bjork album. It's just got a lot of really, really gorgeous songs, and yeah, it's probably her best album with like songs like Unravel and Bachelorette and All Is Full of Love has got a really cool version on this, which is like different to the single version. Yeah, it's just kind of an essential album to own, really. Pretty standard, bare bones reissue, but it sounds very good on vinyl. Yeah, this album cover always sort of makes me think of Star Wars. I guess it's the hair, really, and also I placed it next to Loveless because like the inside of this like gown thing kind of reminds me of it, like the same sort of color uh, combination. Okay, next up we have "Faraway Trains Passing by Ulrich Schnauz. You probably haven't heard of this artist. He is a German electronic artist slash composer. I got into his stuff very recently. I discovered him through a song called Gone Forever, but this was his first record from 2001, which is generally considered to be his best. And it's basically really, really good, kind of relaxing, uplifting, instrumental electronic music. It's brilliant. I just listen to it on like train journeys and things like that. It's just super easy music to listen to. It's kind of like taiko. I've seen a lot of people online comparing this to like, or saying this is like a mix between like Boards of Canada and Kraftwerk, which is like that's pretty great artist to be compared to. But yeah, it's just a super relaxing, uplifting album, and this is like a new 180 gram reissue from 2020, and it comes with a third. The album's on 2 discs, and it comes with a third disc of B-sides, which are pretty much just as good as the album content. There's actually a really good cover of "Crazy for You" by Slowdive on here, and he kind of does that song in his own style. But yeah, if you like, I don't know, any like Aphex Twin or maybe Air, I think I can kind of compare this to Air, one of my favorite bands of all time. Definitely check this album out. Okay, next we have the Slim Shady LP by Eminem, probably my favorite Eminem album. Well, probably definitely my favorite Eminem album aside from the Marshall Mathers LP. I could have got my only complaint about this reissue is that this album had some really cool artwork that really went along with like the aesthetic of the music. There was this like crazy like mushroom graffiti style artwork thing. Um, but yeah, this is just a super bare bones reissue. I could have got the triple vinyl expanded edition for just a few quid more, but I didn't get that one because I'm just not really interested in owning the B-sides, having heard them on Spotify. And also, I wanted like a huge, like 12 by 12 image of this artwork without having like the big expanded edition text at the bottom. But yeah, I'm kind of fascinated with this record. I love the kind of cartoony, sort of abstract, sort of cartoon violence lyrics that he uses on here. I think like Eminem is just a lyrical genius, particularly this record and the one after. And I'm just kind of fascinated with this artwork where he's got like the like person in the back of the car. I guess it's like meant to be Kim, and there's just this really dramatic like moon shot and the clouds and all that. It really doesn't look like Eminem. Yeah, there's just something about Eminem's early stuff that I just really like. My favorite song's probably Rock Bottom, maybe, or Role Model, or Just Don't Give an F, or yeah, it's got a lot of great songs. It's got a few dodgy songs, but I really like this album. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I actually originally found this album on the CD, like in someone's basement, and when I was like 11 or 12, and just became really obsessed with it. And so yeah, I've got quite a big connection to this record. Okay, so next up we have Lonerism by Tame Impala. This is yeah one of my favorite albums of all time. It's just like such a classic psychedelic record. I always think of it as being like well up there with like Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Odyssey and Oracle and Pet Sounds and Forever Changes and all those records. Even like it's from the 2010s. I got this from a little independent record shop in Eastbourne a few years ago. That was like kind of in a basement, so I always kind of associate it with that. Yeah, and it's just such a distinctive classic album. I just love pretty much every song in it. Music to Walk Home by, Why Won't They Talk to Me, Elephant, Um, every that last song with a really long title. Nothing that has happened so far has been anything that we can control. Yeah, it's just an ultra classic album. I really love all of Kevin Parker's albums. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Okay, next up we have Art Angels by Grimes. This one had to be on my wall of records. I just adore the album cover so much. It's yeah, I like her artwork just as much as her music, to be honest. And this is definitely Grimes's most poppy album that she's ever put out, but it's also got definitely got some of her best songs. I think Pin is my favourite Grimes song overall. It's just a super distinctive, unique pop record. My only kind of complaint about this vinyl, which is true for every single vinyl pressing of this album, is that it didn't contain the song Reality, which is one of the best Grimes songs. And I think that was like technically a bonus track, even though it's right in the middle of the album. But yeah, it's one of my favourite pop records of the 2010s for sure, and I just love her artwork so much. It's like having like some kind of like comic book thing on my wall. And yeah, this record's amazing because you get the album on a single record, but you also get like 10 pieces of artwork that go with it that are kind of similar in style to this. But you get like a piece of artwork for every song on the album, which is pretty amazing. I think this is like this is like a reissue from 2020, which is meant to sound a little bit better than the original from 2015, so that's good. Okay, on the top row now, first off we have Seven by Beach House. Beach House are one of my favourite bands of all time, definitely of the 2010s. They just make the most amazing uh, kind of dreamy, romantic, kind of indie pop. I guess, I mean, the genre is dream pop, and they're sort of, I guess they're like the most acclaimed band in that genre, even though they came out like 20 years after that, like, whole initial thing with like the Cocteau Twins and bands like that. I'd say that Bloom is my favourite record from them, and also Teen Dream, but this one is like very, very close behind. It's quite different from their usual sound. They're kind of changing it up a little bit on this record. I'd also like to get, I've got Teen Dream on vinyl. I'd also like to get Bloom and Depression Cherry. But yeah, this is amazing. This is an amazing album. It's slightly sort of going away from their usual sound a little bit. I think they experiment a little bit more on this record, and I'm really looking forward to seeing whatever they do next. Okay, I flicked the light on because it's getting a bit dark. This is In Colour by Jamie XX. This is another one of those ones that I just really wanted on my wall. This is a new reissue on like coloured vinyl from this year. It's one of my favourite electronic albums from the 2010s. It's kind of the music quite represents the title and the album cover. It's just very, very colourful, kind of eclectic electronic music, and it uses a lot of interesting textures like steel drums and a lot of different synthesizers. But yeah, it's just a really sort of easy to listen to, sort of colourful electronic record. I'd definitely recommend it. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jamie XX releases next as a solo artist, because it's been like 6 years since he released this thing, so hopefully soon. This is Another Green World by Brian Eno. This is kind of like a transition album. It's like in between his art rock stuff and the ambient stuff that came later, but there's nothing else that really exists that's anything like this record. It just kind of exists in its own world. It's one of my favourite album covers of all time. It's actually a detail of like a much larger painting by Tom Phillips, and this like vinyl print is just super high quality and just looks lovely on the wall. Yeah, it's I think I love the kind of instrumental passages that go through the song that kind of point towards his ambient stuff that he did later, which he's most well known for. But it's also got a lot of songs that are very similar to like his early stuff and Roxy Music and stuff like that. But yeah, it's one of my favourite albums of all time, so definitely an essential one to have on the wall. This is The Slow Rush by Tame Impala. This is probably one of my favourite, well, definitely one of my favourite records I have in my collection. Not necessarily for the music, but just for the pressing itself. It's just, I think he used like a lot more analog equipment to make this album, so it like really fits the aesthetic of vinyl and just sounds fantastic on vinyl, even compared to his 3 other albums. I don't like it quite as much as like Currents or Lonerism, but it's still a very, very brilliant album. And this actually comes on red and blue vinyl, so it's definitely one of my favourite pressings in my whole collection. And yeah, it has got some of my favourite Tame Impala songs on it, like On Track, and Glimmer, and Lost in Yesterday. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing songs on here. And the album cover, I'm not sure how well it's coming out, but when it's printed out on this like super high quality card, it just looks fantastic. The colours are so like vibrant and really pop out, especially kind of when put against all the other albums on my wall. So yeah, that's what my vinyl wall currently looks like. I do change the records around a little bit sometimes. Sometimes I'll change like an artist spot for like another one of their albums. So I might have like Illinois by Sufjan Stevens, or another Grimes album, or another Beach House album, or whatever. But yeah, that's what it currently looks like, and I'm very proud of that. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot for watching. See ya. Bye.